oh maybe, like my easy smile. Maybe, oh maybe, we'll stop for a little while. Maybe, oh maybe, we'll watch the sun go down. And maybe, oh maybe, we'll decide to stick around. And maybe we won't, and decide to take a walk. And you and I will ponder as we wander, as we walk.
Welcome to Ponder While We Wander. We're two friends who happen to be therapists go on a walk as we discuss relationships, nature, and meet life in the moment. Each episode is grounded in some aspect of eco-psychology, but can take us anywhere as we ponder while we wander. And you're invited to come along.
And you and I will ponder as we wander, as we walk.
Hello, Amber.
Hi, Natasha.
Hi. All right. We are going to do this one again for the third time and hopefully the last time.
Yes, third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm, hopefully. I've done all I can to make this work. The first one, there were waves that were too big. The second one, there was wind that was too windy. But here we are, third one.
We found a nice, quiet, peaceful lagoon. Well, lots of bird activity. Birds everywhere.
Birds everywhere. But that's not the episode. The episode today is, it's not safe to rest. Yes, we're going to notice our individual and our culture's resistance to rest and why rest is important. And hopefully luck will be with us. I have my Lucky Snow Patrol shirt on today.
Awesome.
So,
I feel good about that.
I feel good about that too. Yeah. Like Snow Patrol has done all they can to bring us to this point. So, yeah. All right, we are looking out at this beautiful scenery here. You told me that this was Penn Cove.
Yeah, we're near Penn Cove in
Washington State.
In Washington State. The water is really still and calm today. And lots of birds in the background.
Yeah, it's just a nice place to rest for a little bit and talk about why is it so hard? Why is it so hard for us to rest, do you think?
Yeah, I think there are lots of reasons, but where I'm going to start with this is, we are part of a culture that doesn't always value rest. We have I think there's a lot of collective stories about rest, a lot of individual family stories that we have about rest, around like who gets it, who doesn't, does it have to be earned? So I don't think it's only, an individual challenge of, it feels hard to rest sometimes. I think it's part of a larger conversation and a lot of larger systems that are at play.
Yeah, it tends to spark some survival issues with us, some safety and morality issues within us individually and collectively. One of the words that we keep throwing back and forth here is lazy, and you have some feelings about that word.
It's just such a bummer word.
It is such a bummer word. Right? I often hear it used as if it is a feeling, but I really think it is more of a judgment that we place on a behavior rather than a feeling itself. Right? That, if I don't want to get out of bed in the morning, there could be a million reasons why that is.
Right.
But if I just label it lazy, that might just be the easy route out, and maybe not enough information as to what's really going on there.
Yeah, that's definitely has that sort of shaming quality to it. I think a lot of times people might use the word lazy towards someone else when they're trying to get someone to do something that they want, or they might be having their own discomfort about what's happening, and it can be easy to be like, oh, you're lazy, or you don't have grit, right?
Yeah, and historically that word has been used on people. I guess that is the word I'm trying to use there. It has been used to describe people who often do the majority of the work in our society, a lot of the labor in our society. And that is disproportionately shows up in minority communities. And I think it has its roots in some isms there, capitalism and ableism and racism.
Yeah. So some puritanical roots. We've talked about that a little bit too, right? It's like a moral quality to the word lazy, or
Yeah.
which we disagree with. But.
Even when people come into our practices and they are suffering from burnout, or they're just so tired, like, they've been checked out by a medical doctor, and, the problem isn't that they're, not sleeping or whatever else is going on. There's nothing kind of physically going on that can be addressed in that way. It's an overall kind of tiredness. And there's a couple of things that we tend to look at is like, okay, is sleep, and how much downtime do you have, and how do we get our sleep and our rest? And then also, how do we get that deeper rest with like vacation times? You and I started looking at mandatory vacation times for other countries. And that word mandatory, it's like you're mandated to take like 28 to 38 days a month in some countries. That is incredible. Whereas I think it's even hard in the United States here to get 2 weeks of paid vacation time. So value systems and cultural value systems play a big role in what we normalize as downtime and rest, and what that looks like.
I agree. Yeah. Even if you're wanting to access it, and even just that, there's a system at play right there too, right? Of like, we have limited, and there's not the same kind of mandate that everybody takes time to rest. I think some of the other things that can come up around rest at times is, if you've had difficult experiences or memories, or, it can be hard to sort of sit with those sometimes. I think being really busy or staying really active, maybe resisting slowing down or resting, it can be really hard to sit with, maybe some of the pain or grief or discomfort that comes up around difficult experiences. And I always just like to support people in, like, it takes time. Like, it takes time to learn how to do that. In some ways, it's kind of like learning a new language. Right? It's like learning the language of our nervous system, which, asks us to slow down.
But a lot of times when people come into therapy, whether they have experienced trauma or not, because we are kind of notoriously not great at teaching people how to kind of hold feelings and manage feeling states, oftentimes we will say your symptoms may appear worse going to therapy until they get better, just for the mere fact that we are paying attention now to what that feels like. And when we're just slowing down and paying attention, it can often feel overwhelming. And also think of, different cultural values that we have and experiences in family history. We could even call it traumas and families that are passed down. Look at this bird. What is that? Oh my goodness.
Ooh. Oh my goodness.
Really very vocal.
Big tuft on its head.
Right.
It's like some kind of fisher bird.
Yeah, by a lagoon, you see a lot of things here. So coming back to cultural family experiences, my family part of my family is an immigrant family, and there is a necessity for families who are immigrating to have a work ethic that is kind of a hustle culture, to be able to work really hard. we want our families and the next generations to thrive. And often that is one of the push factors to leaving your home culture. And also when we do that, we leave a lot of the things that signal to our bodies and our systems that it is okay to rest. Even the foods that we eat or the language that is spoken, the different rituals that are around the cultures that we leave and then come to a new location, those aren't there to signal for our bodies that we're safe, right? So we're oftentimes, we do see that bodies respond in ways that are necessary, but then once we're kind of settled, sometimes that system doesn't quite settle with it. And just noticing that can happen too. Signals of safety in the body kind of get overridden.
Yeah, and I think, that can also perhaps be some of the entry point where we get to check out our own individual value systems, what's important, this beginning of noticing how some of those might be in misalignment with the culture. It's be counterculture, some of our value systems, if they involve, care and rest. I think exploring our own value systems can also help sort of give us the courage to do it, because we're going to get, a lot of times we get a lot of messages that, it's not okay, it's not safe. So how to, use our value systems as support and courage to rest. We can, honor the uniqueness of each of us. Our sacred speeds. I know you've talked about sacred speeds before, and, our different needs and ways of being in the world.
Yeah. So it's not that we are denying that these things might be important in separate times, but when we start feeling the effects of not having that rest, we know that rest is important for our bodies to recover. If you've ever been an athlete or you've worked out and you are, working your muscles out, you do need those rest days in order for you to maintain your muscle mass and be able to just maintain your body. And I think other examples of not resting and where that comes into consequence for us is also around effectiveness or efficiency. We get less effective at what we're doing. If you've ever tried to just push through and keep doing something, you're more apt to make mistakes. You're more apt to get hurt if you are tired and not rested. So in those ways, it can be counterproductive to not rest. But it's also praised, to kind of push through and have that grit, which is admirable in some ways. We are pushing through by doing this episode a third time. I feel like this is great for us. Agreed. We'll just put a little nod out there. And it also has relationship issues. I mean, if we're not resting, we're often not being able to be present and pick up on cues of our loved ones, of our friends. We may even neglect our friendships, not that we want to, but that we feel like we have to prioritize. And in that process, recognize, down the road that maybe our friends aren't around that much for us anymore, or we've lost track of our family members and where they're at and what's going on. And so I wanted to see what could we do to kind of shift that paradigm just a little bit, not having to completely obliterate it in any way, because sometimes it's just necessary. I do have a quote. Can I read it? It's from Jenny Odell in her book, How to Do Nothing, Resisting the Attention Economy. And if you haven't read that yet, I highly recommend it. It's a great book to ponder, for sure. But here it goes. In the context of health and ecology, things that grow unchecked are often considered parasitic or cancerous. Yet we inhabit a culture that privileges novelty and growth over the cyclical and the regenerative. Our very idea of productivity is premised on the idea of producing something new, whereas we do not tend to see maintenance and care as productive in the same way. I like that because I think it points something out that is pretty obvious, I think, to me and to most people in this capitalistic society. And it also offers maybe a value shift of maintaining and caring. I like those fix-it cafes where you can bring things, old things that have broken things, and that there are still people around who know how to fix things.
I know.
And repurpose them.
That's so important, such a valuable skill. Yeah.
And the idea of self-care, I think it gets thrown around a lot. And, some people talk about, it's bubble baths and taking a mental health day, which is all good. But sometimes it's about maintenance. Sometimes it's about, are we really maintaining what our bodies and our spirits and our minds need?
Yeah. So many components to what makes rest difficult or not feel safe. Just want to emphasize again or circle back again that, it's really hard. Like, it's really hard to do this, this thing of resting, and just really want to put that out there for people again. It's like, if you're finding that it's really difficult or challenging or you're not sure where to start, that you're not alone in that. Like, this is it's a shared experience. And so it's inviting people in to explore a lot of the reasons why, and they're not always an individual reason.
Yeah. And that if you're going to try these things, the ways to bring more rest into your life, then you're trying to do it alone. That's not always helpful. That doesn't always work for us. We do need support. A lot of us need support. If you're a caregiver, you're going to need support to get that rest, right?
Yeah.
And so the practice of looking for and asking for that support in whatever way that looks like for you.
I know another aspect we've talked about with rest is, again, kind of looking for examples of that in nature, around where we see nature resting. I like to think that could even be a value system that we tap into when we're looking for value systems that might support us in the idea of rest. And I'm just curious what comes up for you when you think about how nature might be able to teach us some of those things. Or
Thank you for asking that question. I think of the cycles of nature. I think of the way the seasons kind of cycle through, and how important those winter seasons are, the wintering, right, where things seem to be slowing down or going to sleep or going underground. And just the metaphor, even though things are slow and maybe even underground, there's still a lot going on in those moments, and kind of trusting that process, that it's part of the cycle and that it comes back around again. We see that so much in different areas of life, and trusting that cycle is there.
Yeah. This might feel obvious in a sense too, but I'm just thinking about, every day the sun goes down and it comes back up, there is this like cyclical nature. Tides go out, they come back in. Like there's a lot of examples I think that we can look to.
I love that.
In
tides
nature.
Go out, tides come back in. Waves. We originally wanted to do this one by the waves of the ocean because sometimes life just feels like that right now with we said the 24-hour news cycle and everything that's coming at us, it just feels like waves upon waves upon waves. And interesting enough, we had to move to this place where the waters were more calm in order to get this accomplished. I don't know what the metaphor is for us today, but that idea too of if we're getting tossed around on top of the waves, that is not the place to be. Sometimes in meditation practice, we talk about going under the wave, right? Like not identifying with the feelings, not overly identifying with the situations, or hanging on to the way we think things should be, right? But rather kind of dipping under the surface and just allowing the experience to happen, that form of kind of radical acceptance that we don't have to like the way that it is. This isn't just a way to minimize or deny what's going on. It's really being present for it, but allowing that this is the way that it is. This is the condition that we're living in. And sometimes that is really good information for us to know when to take a break or when to step away or when to fight or when to lean forward. But if we don't just allow for that experience to happen, we don't have enough information.
Yeah.
So we're talking about maybe metaphors in nature. In the second episode, and I see a bee over there, this that we were recording, we saw a bunch of bees around. And, there's an adage of like the busy bee.
The early bird gets the worm, like go hurry fast, go quick.
Yeah. And then I've seen a friend of mine post pictures of bees that have fallen asleep inside of flowers. And that was so reassuring to me that even the bees kind of need to take a nap. Bees rest, that there is a restful period even to those animals that we think are the busiest out there.
Seems like my kind of bee. Bees and I are still working out a complicated relationship. But maybe I start with the napping bee. That seems like a good...
From a distance.
From a distance, in a beautiful flower.
And then cover crops and rotational crops when we're looking at farming practices and even gardening practices. Any of you that have gardens, right? You need to replenish the soil. And what a great metaphor, again, for us humans, that, you're not always going to get that productivity out of the same space and place every year. That sometimes we need to have that cover crop to replenish us.
Yeah, the taxing of resources, right? If constantly taxing nature, and I was thinking about this the last time that we recorded around, even just the marine and wildlife management, and it's about to be crabbing season up in this area, and there's some limits to when you can harvest crab and enjoy it and eat it, and without some of those limits, it would be gone. That beautiful, delicious resource would be gone. And I think about that for us too. Like, when are we constantly, or when do we find ourselves overtaxing our own resources, and what beautiful, delicious parts of us might atrophy or shrink away or disappear. We don't really let ourselves have limits and rest.
It's also this pendulation, right, between kind of the big picture of something and then the individual need of something. So that could be the bigger need of the community down to pendulating into the individual and then back out again, or within ourselves and then back out into the world. That pendulation of all of that is useful information.
Yeah.
You have an offering for us right now.
I do have an offering. It's a poem I really love by Mary Oliver. It's called Wild Geese. And I just wanted to read it for all of our listeners. It's wild geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Yeah.
Thank you, Mary Oliver. Yeah. Thank you to this location, this lagoon, and the dragonflies, and the butterflies, and the bees, and the birds, and all the people who've tended to this beautiful space here in the present times and in the past. Just lovely. As we sit here, do you have a ponder point that you would like to share with us today?
Yeah, I have two. I know that I will we'll put the poem in the show notes, and so I think it would be an invitation maybe for people to reread that on their own time and ponder what might come up for them with that poem. But also, the other question or ponder point I have is, what stories do you tell or have you been told about rest?
Just noticing those.
What about for you?
Yeah. I think the ponder point that I would like to leave today is just being able to take a little bit of an assessment of when it is easy to rest, and then also what are the challenges to rest.
Good noticing as well.
Good noticing, good noticing. All right, well, thank you for being here again today.
Again and again and again.
then come back again for our next episode, which will be about creativity. Creativity is not a luxury, where we will be on Whidbey Island in Washington State.
And until then, wander well.